In talking to your wife about switching teams, she said she actually probably knew a couple of years before you that was an important step for you guys to make. Why do you think it took you so long to come around?
Well, Richard had obviously given me the opportunity to get to this level of racing. There were some important steps. I think the Wayne and Connie Spears piece was very important. I went there to work as a mechanic back in 1997, hoping that maybe I would get the opportunity to drive because I was still living in California, and they were really the only show in town, and that worked out. But I think for me, Richard gave me the opportunity to come into the Xfinity Series and then into the Cup Series. So you felt this sense of loyalty to try to do all you could do to make it work. Looking back on it, it probably would have been the right thing to do to do what we did 3 years earlier when the contract had ended before. But it's everything has to be right. You have to have that gut feeling that everything's right. And I think coming to that decision was there's so many pieces attached to what we do, and sponsorship and people, and everything happens years in advance. So in order to get out of a situation, I had to basically say what I was doing a year and a half before my contract was actually up. So it created a lot of awkward situations, I guess you could say.
Like what?
Well, when it all came out, it was 2012 when all the news came out that I was going to leave RCR and leave the team. So, they had to figure out how they were going to race with a guy that wasn't going to be on their team the year after. I had to figure out how I could race at my fullest potential to be able to still win races and not let them down on everything and the effort that they had put forth into their cars. So it was definitely a balancing act, and obviously at that point, they knew I didn't want to be there. They didn't want me there anymore just for the fact that I didn't want to be there. So you had to figure out how to make it work so that you didn't let everybody down. So you had to suck it up in a lot of different ways to be able to make it all work.
I understand the hardest or most difficult part of all of it for you was having to tell Richard.
Yeah.
What was so tough about that?
I didn't want Fred, who's the president of Kevin Harvick Incorporated and been with me since 1998, I didn't want him to go in and tell Richard. I wanted to go in and tell Richard myself. So that was definitely the hardest part about the whole deal. And I've never been more nervous in my whole life. And at that particular point, that once you sign that contract and you go in and tell them, that's it. There's no turning back. So we went through a lot of conversations and a lot of talk, and just really felt like I needed to change because I didn't really like going to my job anymore, and that wasn't healthy for everything at home, and in the end it turned out okay.
What did you say in the meeting?
We went into the meeting, and I remember them starting the meeting with some competition items and notes of where they were headed and what the company was doing, and then I finally had to stop them and just say, well, I'm not here to talk about the future. I'm here to tell you that I quit. So, that obviously probably for sure caught them off guard, because I don't think they were prepared for that direction of a meeting, and it all went from there.